My name is Imani Anderson, and I am 33 years old. 2 weeks ago, my mother stood on my front porch for the first time in 9 years with a suitcase in one hand and a folded sheet of paper in the other. That paper was not an apology. It was a list. 5 neat bullet points written in blue ink with a dollar amount beside every one of them. Total amount, $925,000. She did not ask how my children were. She did not say she missed me. She did not even look ashamed. She just said, "We need to talk about what you owe this family." But what my mother did not know was that I had a list too. Mine was not one page. Mine was a navy blue binder, almost 3 inches thick, filled with 9 years of returned birthday cards, ignored calls, printed screenshots, and every cruel message my sister had sent about me behind my back. 29 items. Everyone dated, everyone labeled, everyone kept in the bottom drawer of my desk. She came to my house with a list of what she wanted. I came to the kitchen table with a list of what she had done. Before I tell you how that morning ended, take a second to like this video and subscribe. And if you have ever had family show up only after your life started looking successful, tell me where you are listening from. I read those comments more than you know. To understand why I opened that binder, I have to take you back to the summer I turned 24. That was the summer my family decided I was no longer one of them. I grew up in Mapleton, Ohio, a small town where everybody knew what car you drove, what church you went to, and what your mother served at every funeral repast. Our street had brick ranch houses, clean lawns, and porch lights that came on before sunset. On Sundays, the whole town smelled like hair grease, fried chicken, and somebody's good perfume from the church pews. My father, Kelvin Anderson, worked at the lumber yard off Route 7 for 31 years. He was a quiet man, the kind who came home at the same time every evening, put his keys in the same little dish by the door, and kissed my mother on the cheek before he washed his hands. He did not talk much, but when he laughed, the whole room softened. My mother, Denise Anderson, ran our house the way she ran the women's ministry at New Hope Baptist. Everything had a place. Every holiday had a menu. Every person in town had a role, and my mother made sure they knew it. She organized Easter breakfast, Thanksgiving baskets, graduation dinners, prayer chains, and every church anniversary program from the time I was 10 years old. My younger sister, Patrice, was 4 years behind me and somehow always 4 steps ahead in my mother's heart. Patrice was loud, pretty, confident, and loved being watched. She could walk into a room late and make it feel like the room had been waiting for her. My father called her his bright girl. My mother said Patrice had presence. I was the responsible one, the one who remembered to take meat out of the freezer, the one who folded towels before anyone asked, the one who made honor roll every semester and learned early that being easy to raise was not the same thing as being cherished. I do not say that to sound bitter. I say it because in my family, love was measured out like grocery money, and Patrice always got the full envelope first. When I was 18, I got a full scholarship to Ohio State. I was the first person in my family to leave Mapleton for college. My mother helped me pack 2 suitcases and a laundry basket full of towels. Before I left, she tucked a card into the front pocket of my bag. It had pink flowers on the cover and her handwriting inside. "Come home soon. You belong here." I kept that card for 15 years. I still have it. It sits in the same drawer as the navy binder. For a long time, it was proof that my mother had loved me once. Now it feels like proof that she knew exactly what love was supposed to sound like before she decided to stop giving it. I met Malcolm Ellis in an advanced statistics class during the spring semester of my junior year. He sat 2 rows in front of me, always with 2 sharpened pencils and a yellow legal pad. He solved equations like some people read recipes. Calm, steady, never showing off. Malcolm was an engineering major with a computer science minor. He was from Cleveland, raised by his mother, Catherine Ellis, who had been a school librarian for almost 30 years. His father had left when Malcolm was 4, and Catherine raised him with books, church potlucks, late rent notices, and a backbone made of steel. She was the kind of woman who could correct your grammar, make pound cake, and scare a grown man into saying, "Yes, ma'am," without raising her voice. Malcolm was not flashy. He did not wear designer clothes. He did not talk over people. He listened like listening was a promise. When I spoke, he looked at me as if every word had weight. At 21, I did not know how rare that was. I only knew it made me feel safe. Our first date was at a taco truck near campus. He paid with folded singles. I paid for drinks with quarters from the bottom of my backpack. We sat on a curb and talked until the truck closed. He told me he wanted to build something useful, not something loud. I told him I wanted to work with numbers because numbers did not pretend. He smiled and said, "Then we are both trying to make sense of the world." We dated for 3 years before he proposed. Those 3 years were quiet, not boring, just steady. He met my parents twice. The first time, my mother smiled too hard and called him Martin. The second time, she got his name right, but she kept looking at his shoes, his watch, his old car, as if she was adding up everything she thought he was missing. My father shook Malcolm's hand and said, "Nice to meet you," but he barely looked him in the eye. Patrice was the only one honest enough to say what everybody else was thinking. At Thanksgiving, she leaned toward me while my mother was in the kitchen and whispered, "He seems nice, but Mama is never going to be okay with him. You know that, right?" I looked at her like she had slapped me. "Why wouldn't she be okay with him?" Patrice shrugged, like the answer was too obvious to explain. "He's not her kind of black, not church-polished, not Mapleton respectable. And his mama raised him by herself. You know how Mama is." I told myself Patrice was being dramatic. I told myself my mother only needed time. I told myself a lot of things women tell themselves when the truth is already standing in the room, but nobody wants to turn on the light. Malcolm proposed on a Tuesday night in our small apartment near campus. There was no restaurant, no violin music, no crowd clapping. Just the two of us at the kitchen table with a pot of spaghetti between us and rain tapping on the window. He took my hand and said, "Imani, I want to build my life with you, not around you, with you. Will you marry me?" I said yes before he even finished. That night, I called home. My mother picked up on the 3rd ring. I remember that because my hand was shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. "Mama," I said, smiling so hard my cheeks hurt, "Malcolm asked me to marry him." The line went silent. I counted 7 seconds. Then she said, "You need to think about what this means for this family. Not congratulations, not let me talk to him, not are you happy. A warning." My father got on the extension. I could hear him breathing. He cleared his throat twice. "Daddy?" I said. He did not answer. 2 days later, Patrice texted me, "Mama has been crying since you called. Are you happy now?" The strange thing was that I was happy. Happier than I had been in years, but I did not say that. I just stared at the text until the screen went dark. 2 weeks after the call, a letter came in the mail. Cream-colored stationery, my mother's handwriting. 4 paragraphs, all neat and careful, like she had edited her cruelty before sending it. The last paragraph said, "If you go through with this marriage, you are choosing him over your family. We will not support it. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our door." Malcolm Ellis is not one of us, Imani. He never will be. That was the sentence that split my life in 2. I read the letter 3 times. My hands went cold, not shaking, just cold, like all the blood had pulled back from my fingers. Malcolm sat across from me, quiet, waiting. I folded the letter along the same lines my mother had made, slipped it into a manila folder, and put it in my desk drawer. I did not know then why I kept it. I only knew I needed proof. Something in me, the part that saved receipts and balanced checkbooks to the penny, understood that one day somebody would try to tell me it had not happened the way I remembered. So I kept the letter. We got married at the Multnomah County Courthouse on a Saturday in June. 12 guests, all friends, and Malcolm's side. Catherine flew in from Cleveland with a garment bag over one arm and a Tupperware container of pound cake in her purse. She pinned a silk flower to my dress, held both my hands, and said, "Welcome to the family, baby." No one from my side came. There was no father walking me down an aisle. There was no aisle. Just a hallway with bright lights, a judge who mispronounced Malcolm's last name, and a reception at a Thai restaurant where we pushed 4 tables together. My dress cost $160 at a consignment shop. Malcolm wore a navy suit he bought on clearance. The flowers came from the grocery store and cost $6. We looked like 2 people who had just done the most important thing in their lives on a budget, because that was exactly what we were. That night, after everyone left, I sat on the edge of our bed and looked at my bouquet on the dresser. The roses were already starting to droop. My hands began to shake then. Not because I regretted marrying Malcolm, I never regretted that. I shook because I had just gotten married, and the people who raised me did not care enough to watch. 1 week later, I mailed a card to Mapleton. Inside was a wedding photo of Malcolm and me on the courthouse steps, both of us laughing into the sun. I wrote, "We are happy. I hope one day you can be happy for us, too." The card came back 11 days later with a red stamp across the front, "Return to sender." I stared at those 3 words for a long time. Then I opened the manila folder, slid the envelope inside, and wrote in red pen, "Item 2, wedding photo, returned." That was the beginning of the binder. The first year was the hardest. I called my mother 4 times. Every call went to voicemail. I left careful messages, the kind where you choose each word like you are walking across thin ice. "Hi, Mama. Just checking in. Malcolm got a job at a software company downtown. I'm studying for the CPA exam. We are doing okay. I miss you. Call me when you are ready." She never called. I sent a birthday card to her, a birthday card to my father, a Christmas card to both of them. All 3 came back with the same red stamp. My father sent 1 text that February, 4 words. "Your mother needs time." That was all. No follow-up. No, "How are you?" No, "I love you." 4 words that sat in my phone like a door left half open, only for me to realize later that it had been locked the whole time. That spring, Patrice posted a family photo on Facebook. My mother, my father, Patrice, and Patrice's boyfriend at Sunday dinner, all smiling. The caption said, "My people." I was not in the picture. I had not been invited. I printed the screenshot, not because I wanted to hurt myself, but because I had started doing something I could not explain yet. I was filing things, returned envelopes, call logs, screenshots, anything that showed the truth of what my family had chosen. By March, the manila folder was too thick, so I bought a navy blue 3-ring binder. I added tabs by year. I labeled each item in red pen. I told myself it was just organization. I was a financial analyst. Documentation was how my brain made sense of chaos. But the truth was simpler than that. If my children ever asked one day why they did not know my parents, I did not want to give them a story made out of pain. I wanted facts. By our 2nd year of marriage, Malcolm quit his job. He did not do it carelessly. For 6 months, he had been building a software prototype at night and on weekends. It was a compliance platform for small businesses, the kind that helped companies handle financial reports and audit paperwork without hiring a full legal team. He understood the technology. I understood finance. Together, we understood the problem. Small companies were drowning in forms, deadlines, and rules that nobody explained in plain English. Malcolm set up a desk in our garage with 2 monitors, a space heater, and a whiteboard from Goodwill that still had somebody else's faint marker stains on it. I came home from my analyst job every evening, warmed up soup or rice, and sat beside him until midnight. He built the engine. I built the pricing model. He wrote code. I wrote checklists. He tested the platform. I checked every number. Compliance Cloud launched 7 months later with 4 customers and a free trial that crashed twice on the first day. That same year, I upgraded the binder. The old folder could not hold the returned cards anymore. I bought dividers, plastic sleeves, and a thicker spine. Tab 1 was year 1, 7 items. Tab 2 was already filling up. I was not planning revenge. I was not dreaming about some big confrontation. Most of the time, the binder stayed in the drawer behind tax returns and insurance papers. But when something came back, I filed it. Print, label, date, red pen, that became the routine. Malcolm asked me once, "Why do you keep all of it?" We were sitting on the garage floor eating takeout from paper containers. His laptop fan was running so loud it sounded like it might lift off the desk. I looked down at my plastic fork and said, "Because one day someone might tell me I imagined it." He nodded slowly. "Then keep the receipts?" That was Malcolm. No speech, no judgment, just a sentence that made room for my pain. Langston and Simone were born on a Wednesday morning in November, 6 pounds each. Dark curls, round cheeks, tiny hands that opened and closed like they were already reaching for the world. Simone screamed for almost 4 hours. Langston slept through most of it. Malcolm cried when he held them. I had never seen him cry like that before. He stood by the hospital window, one baby in each arm, and said, "They are going to know they are loved every single day." Catherine flew in the next morning. She stayed 2 weeks. She cooked, cleaned, rocked Langston at 3 in the morning while I fed Simone, and somehow made our apartment feel steady when everything in my body felt broken and new. She brought a yellow and white blanket she had crocheted herself and 2 small silver bracelets engraved with the baby's birth date. That was what a grandmother looked like. I had sent my mother ultrasound pictures 5 months earlier. They came back. I sent birth announcements, 1 for each baby. They came back. I sent photos of Langston sleeping on Malcolm's chest and Simone gripping my finger. They came back, too. Items 13, 14, and 15. Then Patrice sent a message to a woman we both knew from high school. That woman screenshotted it and sent it to me without comment. Patrice had written, "Her kids don't have real grandparents." That's what she chose. I sat in the nursery with that sentence glowing on my phone. Simone was asleep in the crib. Langston was warm against my chest. I could hear Catherine in the kitchen humming while she washed bottles. My children had a grandmother. Her name was Catherine Ellis. She flew from Cleveland every 6 weeks. She never forgot a birthday. She knew which baby liked to be bounced and which one needed quiet. She did not need blood to show up. I printed Patrice's message and filed it, item 16. By year 4, the binder had 19 items. I want to be clear about something. I did not sit around reading it every night. I did not open it when I was angry. Most weeks, I forgot it existed. It stayed in the bottom drawer of my desk, behind things adults keep because life demands paperwork. But every time another envelope came back, every time somebody forwarded me another screenshot, every time my mother pretended in public that I had walked away from her instead of the other way around, I filed it. Same process, print, label, date, red pen. By then, Compliance Cloud had 11 employees. We had moved out of the garage and into a small office in Portland with a sign on the door. Malcolm worked 60 hours a week. I worked 40 at my firm and another 20 on the company books. We hired a part-time nanny for the twins. We ate dinner together every night at 6:30 unless someone was in the hospital. That was our rule. The table mattered. The silence from Ohio became part of the background of my life. Some days I felt it. Most days I did not. It was like an old bruise that only hurt if somebody pressed the exact spot. Catherine visited every 6 weeks. The twins called her Grammy Cat. She taught Langston how to make grilled cheese, standing on a step stool with a butter knife in his little hand. She taught Simone the names of flowers in our yard and let her carry a small notebook to write them down. She came to school programs, birthday parties, dentist appointments, and one terrible stomach flu weekend that made me believe she deserved a medal. I did not know it then, but the binder in my drawer would become one of the most important things I owned. More important than my degree. More important than our marriage license. More important than the IPO paperwork I would sign years later. Year 5, Compliance Cloud had 15 employees, a real conference room, and a whiteboard that did not come from goodwill. The company was growing, not in a flashy way, not overnight. It grew the way Malcolm did everything, steady and exact. He still coded. He refused to become the kind of founder who only talked in meetings and forgot the product. Most mornings, he was at his desk by 6:30 with headphones on, deep inside problems I did not pretend to understand. I handled cash flow, vendor contracts, payroll, forecasts, and investor questions. The company was his vision, the numbers were mine. That year, we bought our first house, a craftsman bungalow in Portland with original hardwood floors and a plum tree in the backyard. The twins claimed that tree before we even finished unpacking. I remember signing the mortgage papers and thinking, nobody gave us this. We built this with tired hands and late nights and faith that did not always feel strong. Langston and Simone started kindergarten. They rode the same bus, sat in the same row, and argued every morning about who got the window seat. Their lives were normal in a way that almost hurt to watch. Backpacks by the door, cereal bowls in the sink, crayon drawings on the fridge. Malcolm making pancakes on Sundays, always burning the first one and pretending it was on purpose. On a Tuesday night that October, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. My mother had posted a picture from what looked like an early Thanksgiving dinner. New dining table, Patrice and her husband, a baby in a high chair, my nephew, Terrence. I had never met him. The caption said, "My whole world." I closed the app and went to bed. I did not cry. Somewhere around year 3, I had stopped crying over Denise Anderson. Some wounds do not heal all at once. They just get covered by everyday life until you can breathe around them. Patrice got married in year 6. I found out from Instagram 4 days later. The photos were beautiful. New Hope Baptist. 200 guests. Patrice in a long veil. My mother in lavender. My father in a new suit I had never seen. There was a live band, a 5-tier cake, and a sparkler send-off that looked like something from a magazine. They did not invite me. They did not tell me. I stared at the pictures for a long time. Not because I wanted her wedding, I had my wedding. 12 people, Thai food, $6 roses, and the best man I had ever known. I stared because they looked happy without me. Not relieved. Not conflicted. Happy. I did something I probably should not have done. I ordered handmade linen napkins from a shop in Portland, ivory with Patrice's new initials. I wrote a card that said, "Congratulations. I wish you and your husband every happiness. Love, Imani." The package came back 3 weeks later, unopened. Item 17. Wedding gift returned. I placed it in the binder and closed the drawer. Then I sat at my desk and listened to Simone singing in the bathtub while Langston argued with Malcolm about whether pancakes counted as dinner. That sound, those voices, that house, that was my family, and they were enough. Year 7 changed everything. Compliance Cloud landed its Series B $12 million from a venture firm in San Francisco. I remember the phone call clearly. Malcolm was in the kitchen making pancakes for the twins. His phone rang. He listened, nodded twice, then hung up and looked at me. "They said yes," he said. I did the math before the pancakes were done. $12 million in funding, post-money valuation of $68 million. Malcolm and I still owned 22%. We were not rich yet, not the way people imagine rich. But the numbers were moving toward a place I had only ever seen in spreadsheets. I left my analyst job that month and joined Compliance Cloud full-time as CFO. It was the first time my name sat beside Malcolm's on the company documents. Not behind his, beside his. We were partners in the house, in the business, in the life we had built from nothing but stubbornness and sleep deprivation. We moved to a larger house in Lake Oswego, 15 minutes south of Portland. 4 bedrooms, good schools, quiet streets, and a kitchen island big enough for the twins to do homework on one end while I reviewed quarterly reports on the other. The Series B got a little press, a short article in a tech publication, a few newsletters, nothing big enough for most people to notice, but somebody in Mapleton noticed. 2 weeks after the article went online, a high school friend texted me, "This is random, but your mama asked me at church what Series B means. Thought you should know." I read that message 3 times. My mother had not spoken my name in 7 years, but she wanted to know what Series B meant. The math was changing, and Denise Anderson was paying attention. That same year, I sent what I knew would be my last birthday card. I had sent one every year. 7 cards, 7 returns. This time I tucked a photo inside. Langston and Simone at their school fall festival. Matching flannel shirts, painted cheeks, big smiles. Langston had lost his 2 front teeth. Simone looked like sunshine. On the back I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." I mailed it and waited for the red stamp. It came back 9 days later, but something was different. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased. It had been sealed again with a strip of clear tape. I stood at the kitchen counter and held it up to the light. The card was still inside. The photo was still there too, but someone had taken it out, looked at my children's faces, and put it back. My throat tightened so fast I had to grip the counter. Not because the card came back. I was used to that. It was the opening that hurt. Somebody had looked at them. Somebody had seen their eyes, their smiles, their little painted cheeks, and still sent them away. I was almost sure it had been my father. I filed the envelope as item 23. By year 8, Compliance Cloud was growing faster than any of us expected. We had 70 employees, then 90. We opened a second office. Malcolm started getting invited to speak at conferences. I started getting investor calls from men who used my first name, like they had known me for years, and then seemed surprised when I understood the numbers better than they did. That year, I noticed my mother had viewed my LinkedIn profile. Once, I might have told myself it meant she missed me. I did not tell myself that anymore. Then came the group chat. It arrived through Tanya, a friend from high school who still lived outside Mapleton and heard more than she wanted to. Somebody had accidentally added her to a family group chat that included my mother, Patrice, my aunt, and 2 cousins. Tanya sent me screenshots with one message. "Imani, I'm sorry. I think you need to see this." I waited until the twins were asleep before I opened them. Malcolm sat beside me on the couch, one hand resting on my knee. The first message was from Patrice. "She has money now. Stop acting like she doesn't." Then my mother. "Your father worked his whole life. We should not be struggling while Imani lives like that." Then Patrice again. "Make a list. Be specific. She works with numbers. She'll respond to numbers." I stared at that sentence until the words blurred. Make a list. Not apologize. Not call her. Not ask about the children. Make a list. My mouth tasted metallic. I remember that, like I had bitten the inside of my cheek, even though I had not. Malcolm took the phone from my hand and read the screenshots. His face did not change much, but his jaw tightened. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "Print them," I said. He did not ask if I was sure. Item 26. Family group chat. 7 screenshots. The IPO came in year 9. Compliance Cloud went public on a bright morning in May. The numbers looked unreal even to me. My signature was on filings I had checked until my eyes burned. Malcolm rang the bell with me beside him, the twins watching from behind a velvet rope. Catherine crying into a tissue so hard, Simone had to hug her waist. By the end of that week, the public stories estimated Malcolm's and my shares at about $44 million. That number traveled faster than any wedding photo or returned card ever had. People from Mapleton started appearing in my messages. Some I had not spoken to since high school. "Congratulations! So proud of you. Your parents must be over the moon. One woman from church wrote, "Your mama always knew you were special." I laughed when I read that one. Not because it was funny, because sometimes the body does not know what else to do with a lie that large. My mother texted me for the first time in 9 years. "Imani, enough time has passed. Your father and I believe the family should sit down and heal the differences that divide us. There are practical matters to discuss as well. We are willing to move forward if you are willing." 63 words. Not one of them was sorry. Not one of them said I was wrong. Not one mentioned the returned cards, the ignored grandchildren, the letter that told me not to come home, or the 9 years of silence she had wrapped around me like punishment. She called it the differences that divide us, as if she and I had disagreed about paint colors, as if she had not told me my husband was not one of us, as if she had not sent my baby's faces back through the mail. I did not reply. I screenshotted the text, printed it, and opened the binder. Item 29. First text from Denise in 9 years. 63 words. Zero apology. 2 days later, Patrice called. I was in my office when her name appeared on my phone. For a second, I just watched it ring. My sister had not called me in years. Texts, yes. Little sharp messages through other people, yes. But an actual phone call with her name lighting up my screen felt like seeing a door open in a house I thought had burned down. I answered on the 4th ring. "Hey, big sister," she said, too bright, too easy, like we had talked last week. I leaned back in my chair. Patrice. "Wow, just my name like that? No hi? No, how are you?" "Hi," I said. "How are you?" She laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Same old Imani, always so serious. I looked down at the contract on my desk. The words blurred a little. Not from emotion. From caution. "What do you need?" I asked. There was a pause. Then she sighed like I had wounded her. Maybe I just wanted to hear my sister's voice. 9 years earlier, that sentence might have worked. I would have softened. I would have searched for the child version of Patrice, the little girl who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms and ask me to tell her stories until she fell asleep. But that little girl had grown into a woman who said my children did not have real grandparents. "Okay," I said. "You heard it." She went quiet. Then her voice changed, just a little. "I'm going to be in Portland this weekend." "For what?" "A conference." "Well, not exactly a conference, more like a networking thing. My friend invited me. Anyway, I thought maybe we could have coffee." I knew better than to say yes. I also knew my mother had texted me 2 days before, and the family group chat had told me a list was being made. Patrice did not suddenly want coffee because her heart had softened. She wanted to look around. Still, part of me wanted to see her face. 1 hour, I said. Public place. You make it sound like a hostage negotiation. Saturday at 10, the cafe on Hawthorne. She laughed again. Fine, send me the address. That Saturday, I arrived 15 minutes early and chose a table near the window. I ordered tea because coffee would have made my hands shake. The cafe smelled like cinnamon rolls and burnt espresso. Outside, people walked dogs and pushed strollers and carried canvas grocery bags, like it was any other morning. Patrice walked in at 10:08 wearing big sunglasses, a cream coat, and the kind of smile people use when they know they are being watched. She looked around before she looked at me. That was the first thing I noticed. Not sister first, room first. "Imani," she said, opening her arms. I stood, and she hugged me with one arm while keeping her purse tucked close to her side. "You look good," she said, sitting down. Her eyes moved over my blouse, my wedding ring, my watch. "Really good." "You too." She took off her sunglasses and placed them on the table. "So, CFO, public company, look at you." "Look at me," I said. The waiter came over and Patrice ordered a latte, a croissant, and a sparkling water. She did not reach for her wallet. I paid because arguing over $12 would have given her the wrong kind of satisfaction. For the first 10 minutes, she performed concern. How are the kids? How is Malcolm? Do you still live in Portland? Is your house close by? Are the schools good? Is Lake Oswego really as nice as people say? Each question sounded casual. None of them were. The kids are good, I said. Malcolm is good. The schools are fine. She tilted her head. You always were private. I learned from the best. Her smile tightened. Then she leaned forward. Mama is hurt, you know. There it was. I wrapped both hands around my cup. The tea was too hot, but I held it anyway. Mama has had my number for 9 years. You know she is proud. No, I don't. She talks about you. To who? Patrice blinked. People. Does she tell them she returned my children's birth announcements? Her eyes dropped to her croissant. Does she tell them she opened a photo of Langston and Simone, looked at it and sent it back? Imani, don't start. You came to me? She tore a corner off the croissant but did not eat it. You have no idea what things have been like back home? Then tell me. Daddy's knee is bad. The house needs work. Mama is stressed all the time. Terrence is getting older, and college is expensive. Not everybody married a tech genius. I sat still. There it was again, the family ledger, the old belief that my life was something they were allowed to draw from because my name used to be in their house. Malcolm was not a genius when Mama said he was not one of us, I said. He was a broke engineering student with an old car. Patrice looked toward the window. And I was not useful then, I added. She turned back. Why do you always have to make everything sound ugly? I don't make it sound ugly. I just say it without perfume on it. For the first time that morning, she looked like my sister. Not the polished version, not the town version, just Patrice, tired and cornered. You could help and still have more money than anyone needs, she said quietly. You could apologize and still keep your pride. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. We sat in silence while the cafe moved around us. Cups clinked. Milk steamed. A man at the next table laughed into his phone. Patrice's latte went cold. When the hour ended, I stood. I need to get home. To the house in Lake Oswego? She asked too quickly. I looked at her. She smiled. What? I just wondered. Outside, she walked with me toward the parking lot. I watched her eyes move over the cars until they landed on mine. She paused half a step. I saw her phone in her hand. I saw the tiny movement of her thumb. She took a picture of my car. Not well. Not even secretly. But enough. I did not call her out. I wanted to see what she would do with what she thought she had learned. She hugged me again beside the curb. It was good seeing you, she said. Was it? She pulled back. You make it so hard, Imani? No, I said. I make it honest. She got into a rideshare and left. I sat in my car for a full minute before starting the engine. My hands were steady, but my stomach felt hollow. Not because Patrice had disappointed me. I had stopped expecting better from her years before. It was because for one brief second in that cafe, when she looked tired and almost human, I wanted my sister back. Then I remembered the phone pointed at my car. 3 days later, Tanya called. Patrice is telling people she saw you, she said. She says you were wearing a watch that cost more than her mortgage. It doesn't. She says your car is electric and expensive. It is used. She says you live like a celebrity. I laughed once, flat and tired. She has never been inside my house. She says she knows enough. I looked across the kitchen at Malcolm helping Langston with fractions and Simone coloring at the island. The life Patrice was turning into gossip was right there in front of me, normal and loud and covered in pencil shavings. No, I said. She knows exactly what she came to collect. That Friday, Tanya called again. It got worse, she said. Now Patrice is telling everybody she visited you in Portland. I leaned against the kitchen counter. She hasn't been in my house. I know, but she is saying you live in a mansion, that Malcolm hit the jackpot, and that your kids go to private school. Two of those are wrong. Imani, that's not the point. I closed my eyes. Tanya lowered her voice. Your mama is planning a trip. Loretta at the salon heard Patrice say Denise is flying to Portland next week. She is packing a suitcase. I looked around my kitchen. Simone's spelling list was on the island. Langston's sneakers were by the back door. Catherine's photo was on the fridge, her arms around both twins at the beach, all three of them laughing. I know, I said. How do you know? Because the numbers changed. Tanya was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? Open the door. You're going to let her in? I'm going to let her talk, I said. Then I'm going to show her what I've been keeping in my bottom drawer for 9 years. After we hung up, I stood in that kitchen for a long time. I thought about the girl I had been at 18, leaving Mapleton with 2 suitcases and a card that said, "Come home soon." I thought about the woman I was now, a wife, a mother, a CFO, a woman with a binder full of facts. Denise Anderson was coming to collect, but I was not empty-handed anymore. In Mapleton, news traveled through church faster than it traveled through the internet. When I married Malcolm, the Whisper Network had done its work in less than 2 days. Denise Anderson's daughter married that Ellis boy from Cleveland, the one raised by his mama alone, the one who did not come from our kind of people. My mother had used those whispers like a shield. She acted like she had to cut me off because people were watching. Now people were watching again, but the questions had changed. You must be so proud. When are you going to visit those grandbabies? Is Imani bringing the family home for Christmas? Every question forced my mother to choose between 2 lies. Either she had a relationship with me and could not explain why no one had seen me in 9 years, or she had to admit she cut off her daughter because I married a man she thought was beneath us. The same town she used against me was now asking her why. She arrived on a Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning. I know the exact time because I was standing at the kitchen window drying a mug when the taxi pulled up. My mother stepped out slowly, beige cardigan, black slacks, pearl studs she had worn to church since I was a child, a small suitcase worn at the corners. She stood on the sidewalk for almost half a minute before she walked up the path. I watched her study the house, the porch swing, the garden beds Malcolm had planted in spring, the clean windows, the front door. She looked at all of it like she was appraising a property. Then the doorbell rang. I opened the door. We stood 3 feet apart. She looked older, more gray in her hair, lines around her mouth that had not been there the last time I saw her. Her eyes were damp, but I had known my mother long enough to know that tears were not always the same thing as sorrow. "Imiani," she said. "Mama." 4 seconds of silence. Then she lifted her chin and said, "I came to talk about the children's future. Not I missed you, not I was wrong, not I'm sorry, the children's future. The children she had never held, the children whose pictures she had returned, the children Patrice said did not have real grandparents." I looked at the suitcase and the folded paper in her hand. "Come in," I said. I did not take her to the living room. I took her to the kitchen. The kitchen had good light, a table, and the fridge, with Catherine's picture on it. It had the twins' artwork, a school calendar, and a world map where Simone had circled every place she wanted to visit one day. The kitchen was where truth lived in our house, and truth was what we were about to have. My mother sat at the table. I poured 2 glasses of water, no coffee. Coffee was for people staying a while. Her eyes moved around the room and landed on the picture of Catherine with the twins. Grammy Cat in a yellow sweater, Langston on one side, Simone on the other, all 3 of them smiling like they belonged to each other. My mother stared at it for 5 seconds. Something crossed her face, maybe guilt, maybe jealousy, maybe both. Then she unfolded the paper. 5 bullet points, blue ink, her handwriting still perfect. she read them out loud. Retirement fund for your father and me, $500,000. I said nothing. College fund for Patrice's son, Terrence, $200,000. Nothing. Medical expenses for your father's knee surgery, $45,000. Nothing. Mortgage payoff on the family home, $180,000. Nothing. Monthly support, $3,000. She folded the paper and placed it on the table between us. This is what families do, Imani. Your father worked his whole life. We sacrificed for you and Patrice. It is time for you to give back. I stared at the list. $925,000. Neat, calculated. Presented like an invoice. Not once had she said sorry. Not once had she asked about Langston or Simone as people, not numbers. Not once had she admitted she was sitting in a house she had never visited, asking for money from grandchildren she had never met. I picked up the paper, read each line again, folded it, and set it down. Wait here, I said. I walked to my office. The bottom drawer was exactly where I had left it. Under the tax folders, behind the old insurance file. I pulled out the navy blue binder with both hands. It was heavier than I remembered. When I carried it back to the kitchen, my mother was still sitting straight in her chair. I placed the binder on the table beside her list. 2 documents. Hers, 1 page, 5 bullet points, $925,000. Mine, 9 years, 29 items, 0 apologies. She looked at the binder. What is that? You brought a list, I said, sitting down. So did I. Her eyes moved over the red labels visible through the clear cover. She saw the tabs, the plastic sleeves, the thickness of it. I don't understand. You will. I opened the binder to tab 1. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not perform. I read the way I read quarterly reports to the board. Calm. Organized. Item by item. Item 1, I said, pulling out the cream-colored letter. Ultimatum letter from Denise Anderson, mailed May 19th, 2017. Her lips parted. I read the last line out loud. Malcolm Ellis is not one of us, Imani. He never will be. My mother looked down at the table. Item 2, wedding photo, mailed June 14th, 2017, returned June 25th. I placed the envelope in front of her. Red stamp across the front. Still sealed the way it had come back to me. Item 3. Christmas card, mailed December 8th, 2017, returned December 21st. Another envelope. Item 4. Birthday card to you, returned unopened. Another. I laid them down slowly one by one like evidence in an audit. White envelopes, red stamps. Each one a door I had knocked on, each one sent back. My mother's mouth opened, then closed. Imani, I'm not finished. I moved to tab 2. Item 7, voicemail transcript. January 7th, 2018. Duration 47 seconds, no callback. I set the page down. Item 8, text from Daddy. February 12th, 2018. 4 words. Your mother needs time. I looked at her then. It has been 9 years. How much more time did you need? Her eyes filled. She covered her mouth with both hands and made the soft, broken sound I knew too well. My mother had different kinds of crying. This was the one she used when she wanted sympathy without giving up control. I had heard it when Daddy forgot an anniversary, when Patrice got caught lying, when church women chose someone else to lead a committee. I was hurt, she said. You chose him over us. I chose my husband. You left. No, I said. You told me not to come back. People say things when they are upset. I turned to tab 4 and pulled out a screenshot. Item 16, text from Patrice to a mutual friend, March 9th, 2021. I read it slowly. Her kids don't have real grandparents. That's what she chose. My mother flinched. Patrice didn't mean it like that. This is Patrice's exact text. I turned to the last tab. Item 26, family group chat screenshots, October 4th, 2025. Her face changed before I even read them. The tears did not fall, her eyes sharpened. I read Patrice's message. Make a list, be specific. She works with numbers. She'll respond to numbers. Then I read my mother's reply. Your father worked his whole life. We should not be struggling while Imani lives like that. The room went still. My mother's hands flattened on the table. You had no right to read private messages. I looked at her, steady. You had no right to return my children's pictures. The silence after that was so complete. I could hear the refrigerator hum. I reached for item 23, the opened envelope. Same red stamp, same white paper, but the flap had been creased and sealed again with clear tape. This was the birthday card from Year 7, I said. Inside was a picture of Langston and Simone at their school fall festival. On the back I wrote, they ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away. I placed the envelope in front of her. Somebody opened it. Somebody looked at their faces and sent it back. My mother's jaw tightened. Who opened it, Mama? She said nothing. Daddy opened it, didn't he? Still nothing. He wanted to keep it. Her eyes dropped to the envelope. And you made him send it back. She whispered so quietly, I almost missed it. I was afraid. I waited. Her fingers curled around the edge of the table. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong, that I lost all that time for nothing, that I pushed away my own grandchildren because I was too proud to... She stopped. For 1 second, maybe 2, I saw something real in her face. Not performance, not strategy. Fear. The kind of fear that hides under pride so long it starts wearing pride's clothes. Then it was gone. She lifted her chin. But you made your choice, Imani. There it was, the old wall going back up. I placed her list on the left side of the table. I placed my binder on the right. Your list, I said, $925,000. 5 bullet points. No apology. I touched the binder. My list? 29 items. 9 years of silence, 9 years of returned cards, 9 years of ignored grandchildren. A daughter erased because she married a man you decided was not good enough for your family. I did not erase you. You told people I abandoned you. Her nostrils flared. You let Patrice tell people my children did not have real grandparents. That was between you and your sister. You tracked my husband's company through church gossip and LinkedIn. You came to my door with a suitcase and an invoice. I closed the binder. The metal rings clicked shut. You did not come because you missed me. You came because the numbers changed. She stood so fast the chair scraped against the tile. After everything we did for you, food, clothes, school supplies, college visits, church clothes, all of it. This is how you repay us? You raised me, I said. That is not a loan. She stared at me. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said come home soon. Then you told me not to come back. She had no answer for that. I could see her searching for one, sorting through all the old guilt trips, all the lines that used to work when I was young and desperate to be loved. None of them fit the woman sitting across from her now. You said Malcolm was not one of us, I said, but for 9 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children had. Those words landed. I watched them hit her. The garage door rumbled. Malcolm came into the kitchen through the laundry room with his laptop bag over one shoulder. He stopped when he saw my mother. Then he saw the binder. Then he saw me. He did not ask a question. He did not posture. He did not say one dramatic word. He set his bag on the counter, walked over, put his hand on my shoulder, and sat beside me. That was all. My mother looked at him, the man she had refused to accept for 9 years. He was wearing a gray flannel shirt, running shoes, and the same plain watch he had owned since before the IPO. Nothing about him announced $44 million. He looked like what he was, a husband, a father, a good man who showed up. She looked at his hand on my shoulder. She looked at the space between us, calm and solid, with no performance in it. And I think that was when she understood. I did not need the Anderson family anymore. I had already built my own. "Mama," I said quietly, "I will not give you money." Her mouth opened. I kept going. "Not because I cannot afford it, because the moment I hand you a check, you will tell yourself you were right to stay away until it became profitable to come back. You will tell Patrice this is what family does. You will tell Daddy the past is settled. You will turn 9 years into a misunderstanding." I picked up her list and held it out. They were not a misunderstanding. They were a choice. Your choice. She did not take the paper. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every photo of your grandchildren that you looked at and sent back. Her eyes were wet again, but I was not moved by them this time. "If you want to know Langston and Simone, really know them. That starts with an apology. Not to me first, to them. And it does not start today. It starts when you are ready to mean it." She took the list with stiff fingers. For a moment, I thought she might say something. Anything. Instead, she picked up her suitcase and walked to the front door. At the threshold, she stopped. Her shoulders rose like she was taking a breath. Then they fell. She walked out. The door did not slam. It clicked. Some sounds are louder because they are small. If someone in your life only came back after the numbers changed, I want to hear your story in the comments, and if this reminded you that your worth is not a dollar amount, share it with someone who needs that today. 2 weeks passed. Malcolm and I did not talk about my mother much, not because we were avoiding it, but because there was not much left to say. She came with a list. I showed her a binder. She left without apologizing. The math was clear. The twins did not know she had visited. They were at school when she arrived and still at school when she left. I was glad. They would learn about Denise Anderson when they were old enough to understand that some people only look your way when the light makes you shine. My father called on a Tuesday morning at 9:14 while I was reviewing a vendor contract. When I saw his name, I let it ring twice before answering. "Hi, Daddy." He was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Then he said, "Your mother told me what happened." I waited. His voice sounded smaller than I remembered. "I should have opened the door for you 9 years ago. I should have picked up the phone. I should have driven to Portland when those babies were born. I should have done a lot of things, Imani." My throat tightened, but I said nothing. "I am sorry," he said, "not because of the money. I do not want your money. I want to know my grandchildren, and I want to know if you will let me try." I looked out my office window at the parking lot below, cars moving, people carrying coffee. The world going on like my father had not just said the words I had waited almost a decade to hear. I was quiet for 17 seconds. I counted. "I believe you," I said, "but believing you and trusting you are not the same thing. I know. We start slow. Phone calls every 2 weeks. No visits yet, no money, no pressure on the kids. Just talking." He let out a breath. "That is more than I deserve?" "It is exactly what you deserve," I said. "Not more. Not less." We hung up, and I went back to my contract because life does not pause just because the past finally clears its throat. Patrice texted once. One line. "You could have just helped." I did not answer. Some messages explained themselves. My mother did not call. She did not text. She did not write. The silence returned. But this time it did not feel like punishment. It felt like space. The binder went back in the bottom drawer of my desk. 29 items, 9 years. I did not add a 30th. I hope I never have to. Here is what 9 years of silence taught me. Family is not the people who share your last name. Family is not the people who show up when your net worth changes. Family is the people who show up when your apartment is small, your garage is cold, and your babies need rocking at 3 in the morning. Family is a woman flying from Cleveland every 6 weeks with pound cake in her bag. Family is a husband putting his hand on your shoulder without saying a word. Family is 2 children laughing under a plum tree, never knowing there was a whole side of blood relatives who chose pride over love. It was never about the money, it was about showing up. That is my story. 9 years, 29 items, 1 navy blue binder. If this story reminded you that your value was never tied to what people could get from you, tell me in the comments. Share it with someone who needs to hear that a boundary can be quiet and still be unbreakable. And if you have not subscribed yet, I would love to have you here for the next story.